If you know, you know. But if you don't know, you know.
Now you know. Now you know. If you know, you know. The big ballers in town. Now you know. Now you know. Forget what they're on them. Yes. How much is money?
It's nothing.
Ballin'. Premium or nothing. Now you know.
Now you know.
Now you know.
Now you know.
Forget what they're on them.
Welcome back, fam. You know, I just love our intro. By the way, I love our music. I can't get tired of it. How we doing today? We here? We good? Okay.
We're here.
Yeah. So today for mindfulness, we're going to start with a check-in because we haven't done a check-in in a while. So who wants to start? I want to know two things. What is one thing that's been going well for you? What is one thing that's been challenging? And for the challenging thing, is there something you're working towards to get through it? Or are you just sitting with it right now? So who wants to start? Okay, Tyler, since you...
Right.
I see the So I'll let you
things
go.
have been going well. My best has been down. So that's, well, you know, we always have a good time together, and my partner liked to bully me, so that's fine. No, lies.
That's bullying. Is it honesty or bull?
Oh, please.
Okay.
I would say things that have been challenging. Honestly, I've been feeling a little burnt out. So it's been challenging to take care of myself in the ways that I need to. So I'm happy to have like some time off and some things planned in the summertime to, you know, balance that out, give me a little break.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Thanks, friend. All right. What about you, Lovely?
So this is a really hard question. Something that's been going well is I've been sleeping and switching off at 5 p.m. So I'm not working after hours, which is great. Something that's been challenging has been witnessing people self-abandon and over-identifying. But I'm working with it to also not link it as a threat to myself personally. So to be able to just like, you know, I wish you wouldn't do that to yourself, but like, it's where you are, you know? Yeah.
Good deal.
That's a hard one, honestly. I'm not gonna lie to you. Things that have been going well for me this week is I've been able to stay hydrated. I had a change in medication recently, which has been causing me to be really dehydrated and having like little headaches and things like that. So I realized this week that I did not have those headaches, and I have been keeping up with drinking and eating a bit more consistently. Things that have been challenging this week, I would say, sleep. I've not been sleeping all that well or for that long.
Yeah.
I think consistently I'm probably going to sleep probably like 1, 2 a.m. and waking up at like...
No, you love your sleep.
I do. So I have been waking up around like 7 a.m. So noticing that. And one of the things I think I can do is intentionally set up some times where I like turn down, where I'm not on my phone or I'm in my bed instead of like on my couch watching oodles of TV shows and things of that nature. So yeah, that's something that I'm going to put into play starting next week.
Good deal. I'm proud of you because that sleep, like you said, we know you love your beauty.
I do love my sleep.
And your nap.
Yes.
All right. What about you, friend?
So things that have been going well for me lately are being consistent in the gym. So I've been going to the gym because I feel like I feel best when I have some physical activity. So that's great. Things that have been a challenge for me are honestly like having a social life in general. I live in a place with, you know, I don't have any friends where I live currently. So
Yeah.
it's been hard balancing work and social life or creating a social life. So that is currently something that I'm just sitting with because it's a lot of energy to have friends.
Right.
Especially for the new community.
In a new community, in a new place. Yeah.
Especially if there's not like you.
For sure. That can be challenging. Relatability.
Yeah.
You know? Yes.
For me, one thing that's been going well is I find myself giving less fucks about a lot of things.
Yes.
Like, just some shit happened. Okay. Normally I will be trying to problem solve or I get all annoyed. No, I just don't care. I don't know what flipped or what turned, but I just don't care anymore about certain things that happen. Something that's been challenging is just literally like, for myself, I'm going through a transition with like leaving one project, but it's still like, I don't care. At this point, I'm ready to go at this point. So that's where I'm at.
The clock is ticking.
It's ticking. Well, we have an exciting show today because we have two beautiful faces. So we are super excited to have Color of Success.
Yay.
And I'm going to have Tyler introduce our friend.
Yes, I will introduce you all to Dr. Bree and Dr. Mott.
Hi.
The wonderful host of Colors of Success. The podcast aims to shed light on the unique challenges and triumphs faced by Black people who have doctoral degrees. They're passionate about providing that platform for diverse voices and sharing their stories. So welcome. I want to also give you all the opportunity to introduce yourselves a little bit. Tell us about you and, you know, who you are, what encouraged the podcast, things like that.
Yeah.
Alrighty. You want me to go first?
Yeah, I always want to go.
Of course. Hi, everyone. I guess I'm Dr. Bree.
Like that.
Okay.
I recently graduated. I have my PhD in educational research methodology. I do a lot of program evaluation. I was a teacher, and that's who I am. First and foremost, as an educator. The podcast, how did it come about? Like, we had a really hard ass time in grad school and we needed a place to vent and talk to other people and develop a community, like to figure out like, how did others get through this situation? Yeah. And hopefully provide this platform so others who are going through similar experiences, you know, have a space that they can come and listen to. And I know Macy's was about to be like, I forced her to be part of the podcast, but I'll let Dr. Mott tell like what she wants to tell about the story of the podcast.
No, not at all. So I am Dr. Mott. I graduated from the same program as Brianna. It's about a year now, and so the doctor has really sunk in. But I was an international student in grad school, and I was saying to Brianna, you know, you don't know what a PWI is if you're not in the US. And so that was really hard for me. And it was, I definitely needed her to sort of wake me up, which I think a lot of international students suffer, is just like not being aware of what the racial dynamics are in the US. And so while it was her idea, she did rope me into the podcast. It's been such a rewarding journey. And it was so much bigger than we thought it would be. Like, we thought it would just be like, you know, how did you make it through? Give us some words of wisdom. But then people were talking about what a life-changing event it was to even unpack that the grad school experience was something, you know? And so that really is what the Color of Success has become, as a space for people to just reflect on that time and really be honest about how hard it was.
And I love the title of the podcast. How did you ladies come up with that? Because I love it.
That's a great question. Brother. When AI became a thing, Google, like AI, what the title should be. And, you know, it comes up with a lot of suggestions. So the Color of Success was one, and then the Black academic experience was another. And so
kind of merge those together.
Because it is about excellence, right? Like, it's about celebrating, it's about acknowledging.
In what country are we representing?
So I'm from Lesotho, which is in the south of Africa. And it's surrounded by South Africa. And so I often talk about, of course, South Africa is where there was apartheid. And so the Black American and the South African experience is similar in ways, but different in others. And so I think I was prone to being more aware, just in a different way.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure.
This wasn't your first experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we are happy to have you guys here.
We are. And I think that our missions align as far as like wanting to share more knowledge and create that community with people, especially people that look like us.
Yes.
So we're happy to have you, and let's get into it.
Yes, we do. Because a lot of people do struggle after school, whether it's after undergrad or definitely after a grad program.
Yeah.
And I think creating a space where people can have that and have that conversation, I'm pretty sure has been rewarding and is so needed.
Yeah.
Especially now, it's like graduation season. Everybody, has been
Is leveling up in one way or another.
Yeah.
So for you guys, what were some barriers afterwards that you guys had to overcome after you finished? Like, what was the feeling when after you walked that stage, you had the graduation celebration, everybody's like, yay, yay, yay. For you, when you had your time alone, what did it look like? You go first.
I think from the outside looking in, it's like a time of celebration and excitement. But honestly, I felt like defeated and broken down.
Yeah.
So, going to grad school is a little bit different because you're a grown ass person. So you come here, but adults and professors still want to treat you like you're a teenager, and they make you, it's a culture of like, you have to earn their respect and you have to earn like everything. Right. Some type of a hazing. So kind of a lot of time after graduating, I spent relearning, like, you are worthy of this. You do know what you're talking about, like kind of affirming yourself. And it's nothing that happens instantly. So it's still like a constant process, but it's kind of, first you have to acknowledge like, oh yeah, I am defeated. They have torn me all the way down. And then at that point it was like, okay, I can start rebuilding a little bit by a little bit. And so, just preparing for that transition, cause they're exciting, they're scary, but they're all like normal feelings. Well,
do you think there was a difference between like getting a master's and a PhD program?
I did my master's online.
Right.
And so for me, I did the bare minimum to my master's to get through. I feel like after that, I knew I had to show up in person because I wasn't as engaged in my learning. And so it kind of defeated the purpose. Like, I finished and got what I needed to, but I'm walking away like I was still a little unsure of everything. I didn't go walk for my master's either. Like, so it was a lot different because I felt like we also were in our PhD programs during COVID. Like, it was just a very traumatic time. Like, my COVID started the second semester, and my grandma died like 2 weeks into my grad program. So I just felt like it was so much, like, I really wanted to be there and show up for myself and walk this time. And I didn't feel that way for my master's.
Yeah.
For me, the master, I think what's different about a PhD is that it's the end, right? Like, it's definitively, there's nowhere else to go. And so for my master's, I did feel achievement, but as I was doing my master's, I knew I was going to do a PhD already. So it didn't feel like an end. But in terms of what it was like after walking, first of all, we were in the job search, which we thought was terrible then, but of course the world has changed. So looking back, it actually wasn't that bad. But I think it also is, when they talk about Black women, like just chasing qualifications and trying to get to a place, it really is just like, you did it. And so now do you feel worthy? Now do you feel like you are? And to speak to what Brianna was saying, like, there's so much hazing, so much fostering of self-doubt, right? Like, I think that academia just makes that even more magnified. And so, like, moving out of that space and finding a supportive workplace seemed like it was impossible, but it's been so great after.
Oh, good.
It's almost giving cult. Technically in a cult, they break you down until nothing, and then they have to rebuild you in the image of what the cult believes is important, and all of those different things. Like, so one, sorry that was for you guys. No, seriously, because I know we're talking about after, but I think what we've never talked, Tyler and Jay, is about like our grad school experience, because I think there's a lot of stuff that happens during grad school that shifts the way that you think about yourself, you think about other people, you think about not only the ladders that you climb in order to seem that you're worthy. I went to grad school at Loyola University, go Greyhounds. And it was different because I took a year off between my bachelor's degree and my master's degree, and I went to work. And so I was in the work field engaging. And I remember when I got into grad school, it was very exciting because it's like now I can finally actually really do the thing that I want to do. Because when you graduate with a psychology degree, you can't really do anything with a bachelor's, unlike some of these other kind of things that can, other degrees. And so went into my master's program, very excited, very like, green, ready to kind of be impactful. And for the most part, most of my teachers, my colleagues that were in the class, they were very inviting, very open, very kind. Because Loyola is like a melting pot. It's in Baltimore, so there's a bunch of different folks coming from different places. And I was one of the few people who also worked while I was in grad school, so I was a commuter type of thing. And again, like I said, very supporting until I got to this one particular professor. And now I think about it, they were also simultaneously doing their doctorate program. And so they were teaching, the master's degree. I'm sorry, this master's class. And the class that we had to take was pivotal in us being able to move on to like being able to like do, what do they call it?
A prerequisite.
Right. Internship and like, do our thank you. That's exactly what it is. And so we took this class and you could tell there was a certain air of like arrogance that like she had. She's a white woman. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but like she definitely showed up in this way of like, this is how things are. If you don't show up this way, then you are not necessarily worthy. You're not going to be successful. She was like, she would be very one of those professors. Did you read the syllabus? Did you read it? That all the information is in the syllabus. And I remember one time when she did, I said, I did read the syllabus. It's not in there. So now what? And then she was overlooking like frazzled because it's like, yeah, I've done what it is that you've asked us to do. The information that you're asking for is still not over there. So there was already a little bit of like, oh, you're combating your type of like showing up in a way.
Right.
Right. Showing up in a way where I have to like hit you down type of thing. So we had to interview or do a series of like pseudo like sessions with a undergrad person. And the person that came up, she had anxiety real bad, like really, really bad. And I remember we were supposed to practice those like lower level therapy skills of like empathy, active listening, like those type of things, which I was doing. At the same time, she was asking for specific help around this particular issue. I'm always thinking about these things. I catastrophize my thoughts. And so I think I had suggested she write down, her thoughts and just kind of see where her thoughts go. And we were supposed to record them and send them into the teacher. She literally took that and said, you are working outside of your bounds. You are doing things you're not supposed to. She almost tried to fail me in that last session in that class so that I would not be able to move. Mind you, other people ended up failing her class because like they couldn't get the undergrads. She didn't like whatever the sessions were, right? If it wasn't for the relationship that I had with the head of the psych department at the time, and I went to her and I was like, this is not right. Like, this is not like her trying to fail me off of this doesn't make any sense because this is how the client, the person is showing up. And I just gave the suggestion, not knowing that, oh, I'm doing something that's beyond outside of my, learning, style or learning what I learned at that moment. And she was very upset about that someone else who actually has a degree, was like, no, that's not okay. So instead, the punishment was that I had to transcribe 35 minutes of the session. Wow. That was the thing that I had to do because if I didn't do that, because I think other people had to do like maybe 10 or 15, but I had to do 30 minutes of it and see exactly what it is that I wrote, or what I said that would make it be this way. Can you see the retaliation, the way of like
and the power struggle there? And I think that you bring up some really great points around just the need for self-advocacy in the graduate space. I certainly had a similar experience with a teacher that was unfortunately an older Black woman and happened to be the head of the counseling department. And I felt fortunate. The school that I went to Trinity Washington University for my master's program, and they had a heavy focus on social justice, which I really loved and feel really grateful for in my counseling career. I think that really helped me to like be able to think outside of my textbook around how to support people.
Yeah.
Like when it came to her class, she was very much like, on our asses, and particularly Black women. It was like she had this thing like I need to make sure that the Black women in my class go through these particular things. And so we ended up getting into it. Like I had office time with her, and I'm like the type of student that my mom was a teacher, so I learned very early on that if your teacher fucks with you, you can get away with a lot of more things, or you can have a little bit more flexibility. If you're going through something, support. Like if your teacher likes you or you have that relationship, they see you outside of the class and you have a little bit more connection. So like I'm showing up to your office hours every day.
Good.
And what are you going to say to me? So at one point, she kind of was like, well, I feel like you're showing up to my office hours and you're not even really doing the work. This writing is trash. And I'm like, you are the literal head of the department talking to people like this. She's retired a couple of years ago.
She should.
But I think that she probably but it's like an ongoing complaint. Like there's always people reporting against her. But I think that she just came from a very rigid school of teaching and therapy and felt like there was a certain level, which I think is sometimes like a generational thing too. Like there's like I had to get out the mud, so you do too. And I think that can be very damaging to graduate students
who are young, who are who also already are in a place where they're trying to perform for acceptance.
Yeah.
So you are taking that as almost like it was like you could see the sick thing in this woman's face when she would like break someone down. And mind you, I've been around enough people because I played basketball to know when someone is intentionally putting you down so to fill themselves up. And she was an older woman. So it's like she's almost like hardened by like life or something that she had experienced and wanted to put that on people who were like 23, 24, 25 years old. I was grateful that I did not fail the class, but there was several people in my cohort who did and had to repeat that, which extended how much money then they now had to pay. And I did not have a lot of money, or I'm not about to take extra loans to be able to stay here for a month. So it's like I really had to like put my ass into gear and really like outsource, because I remember literally coming out of, like, I can read it in my mind right now, coming out of the class, walking to my car and like breaking down. I'm like, she's trying to fail me. Like she's genuinely trying to like break me down. And I was not having it. Like, I'm like, there's no way that I'm going to allow you to blemish my character and how I show, because how is every other teacher that I have in this place is celebrating me, is saying that I'm great, that they cannot wait to work with me, writing recommendations, and just you alone is all of a sudden trying to put me down. It just, it doesn't make sense. The proof is not in the pudding.
You know what's sad as you all are talking is that this is not an isolated incident.
That's it.
I think part of our podcast is saying, you know, almost everyone is going through this, but on their own. And I think the nature of grad school makes you feel like I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I don't know what other people know. And so I guess my question to you all is, what would we say to Black women in grad school who are facing these things? Because it will be a white woman trying to put you down. It will be an older Black woman trying to exert their power over you. Like, we had an experience where someone said, the head of the department said, I can do this. And it's just like, even if God said it, like, you cannot treat people like this. And so over and above, advocate for yourself. Like, what can we say to Black women?
Find community. I would say find community. Because one thing I found that was very helpful, even though I was a commuter, was there was not only Black folks that were there, and we seemed to kind of like there was that camaraderie and that like support, and we were there for each other. We'd be happy to see each other. But I also had other people that were in that community that were white women who were very much like very supportive, very outspoken, and very like validating of like, no, this bitch is awesome shit. Like there's something not right here. And so I would say really find at least one person in your program that you can cover each other and go through the trials and tribulations of stuff.
Yeah.
So I had a different experience in grad school. I have to say, Bowie State challenged me, but challenged me in a great way of like fostering and nurturing me. So I had that nurturing part. So one thing that they did, I think is great, is that they did make counselors go to therapy. Like one of our first course was like, in part of the role is like, you got to know yourself and your shit before, you got to learn to be the client. So, and I didn't go to therapy. That's the first time I kind of like took therapy seriously outside of like the childhood stuff, that I was like, oh damn, this is like really rewarding. So to your question, I feel like if you have a professional support or professional help, I think it's just knowing your strength in yourself. I think when you don't know yourself and you look at these teachers as if like they are the expert in you are the expert in you. And I think knowing that you are the expert in you, then you have to have a sense of trust, but have a space when you are defeated, when you are feeling weak, to say, you know, I'm feeling inadequate. I'm feeling this. I think as Black, you know, students, educators, we don't make room for inadequacy. And I think because we don't make room for inadequate.
What is that?
Yeah, exactly. And because we don't make room for it, I think that's what keeps us in emotional suffering. Because we were taught that, hey, 10 step ahead. Hey, don't let them see you sweat. Yeah, and all of that. But there are moments where you, to be honest, where you feel defeated. I don't have it, you know, and I think I had to learn to say that because, you know, like, you know, as foreigners, like, you know, your parents have a different level of expectation. I think they put on you that there's not room for you to say I'm inadequate. And I think,
or I'm tired.
Or I'm tired. Exactly.
I don't wanna know.
Exactly. So even the Black experience too, like you don't have that. So I think even seeking the counseling center, even if, because those things are free. You know, when you're a student, you could be broke too. So you may not have insurance. You may not have insurance. You may not be able to cover it, but also have someone who's a mentor that you trust, that you can actually be yourself in moment of weakness. I felt like really helped. I think for me, what challenged me at school was in terms of, I'm not a good test taker because of my ADHD and my, you know, I've always had that. So for me, taking these standardized like comp exam made me question my inadequacy, made me question that. And that's what, after all of that, like you said, one, I didn't know how much weight gain. I gained a lot of weight out of that stress, but taking a board exam and doing all of that will really, that's what made me feel defeated. Like, damn, am I fit for this? Like, do I know this? And I had to learn not to subject my worth based on a piece of paper and an exam.
Exam for a white man.
Exactly. Exactly.
Or in counseling for a white woman.
Yeah, because think about it, and he always confused me because the field of counseling in particular, we should be more open to different ways of people taking tests. And that was one of the things I advocated for in my grad program. Like, give me an essay, short answers question. Give me even a case study. I will spit fire. Okay,
let me talk it out.
But the multiple choice and trusting, that's something I had to literally, my brain was not programmed or function that way. And it's always been a thing. But this is the supporting system that I did have where I had the chair and the department chair, like coming like, no, we know that this is your purpose and your gift and you going to pass this. And really made accommodations for me even after taking my board exam, which, you know, not ashamed to say, I had to take it 3 times, to really feel like, no, like I am adequate, I am fit, and I have moments of inadequacy. So I think giving myself permission to feel inadequate also helped me get through my sense.
You definitely talked about a whole nother thing about being a counselor, like how you get the master's degree, spend all your time and money, and then you still got to spend all your time and money studying for an exam, hoping you pass, and having to pay for it over and over again. Yeah.
And that's real.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that a common thing that I've heard about, like, even in the master's space and PhD space is like, being able to protect the integrity of your work. You all are often working with other people, supporting with research. How do you protect your voice in that space where there is a bit of a power dynamic there?
Go ahead, Macy. So
look at you.
It's not even seething. It's hard. I think also we come into the grad school experience, and especially if you're in like a social justice oriented program, if you're thinking about ideally what higher education should be a space where you can question, and you should, right?
Yeah.
But it's not. It's a space where there are distinct hierarchies, and like Brianna was saying, like, I'm a student, but I'm grown, right?
Yeah.
And so you can't talk to me any which way.
For sure.
Yeah, but it's hard. And I think you also realize that these people are just people. Like, you are just a person. You just happen to do your PhD before me. Like, that really is what it is.
Thank you.
People have experience, but like, so I don't know that I have an answer other than I'm stubborn and I just will just say what I want to say.
Good for you.
Right. But it also does make.
But do you get blacklisted or like that part? Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah, chastised.
Yeah. People are punished for being close to you.
That's
People
what I
are
thought.
discouraged, like frowned upon. But it also is just like, I can't be any other way.
You have to be yourself.
Yeah,
and I love that about you.
Yeah.
You're going to be Dr. Vaughn.
Yeah. And I think, when we went through, we were talking to Tyler, and Tyler's just like, it's academia, girl. Like, that's what people do. And I'm just like, not today. Like, not with me.
Yeah.
And I think we also got to a point where we were like, we could do research on our own. Like, we were just like, let's forget the middleman. Like, what do we need our professor for, really? Because like, we can apply for conferences. We all have brains. Like, to y'all's point about your professors and stuff, like, they're not teachers, they're not educators, they don't know what they're doing. Like, so half of them are in there, like, the syllabus isn't made, and then they get it's like, oh no, I'm insecure because I couldn't get my syllabus together, and why is she pointing this out? And then they're mad because you pointed out something wrong. But they have no clue what they're doing. And so we just had to, like, together, like, we got to a point where we were like, let's find a group of people, like-minded people, and do our own research. And that proves to be very successful for us, helpful for us, escaping our university structure just a little bit to do what we want on our own.
Yeah.
And then you get to direct what it is that you want to focus on and what your, what you want to impact, what you want to research, what is important to you. Because I do think, like you said, with the hierarchy, there is this marriage to how I do something is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And even one thing that you said, Jay, in terms of like finding that sense of worth or being able to acknowledge your inadequacy. A lot of people go to grad school in order to feel worthy. In order to feel like I am worthy.
It's like a special person that goes to grad school.
No, literally. But it's like there are people who are going there to make sure that, like, I'm legitimate. I'm somebody of value. I'm somebody of worth because I spent thousands of dollars to get this paper that says that I'm this thing. Right? There's a lot of folks with the, I'm a doctor. And they loved, and not to downplay you guys at all, because you guys did a lot of great work and a lot of hard work together. But there's people that are like, oh, I'm a doctor and you should just take me as this because I did this, that, and the third. And of course, you have a level of expertise. You have a niche that you have as a course. But you're not the knower of everything.
Right. You're an expert, not the expert.
Exactly. So that's a hard thing. I think, like, it's a hard thing to be able to conceptualize when you're taught to go to school to learn from other people who know more than you.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate how you guys, there's a lot of research that's not done on us and about us. So I really can appreciate the fact that now you guys are putting new work out, that if somebody were to do a research or do, it has that type of focus. So I like the fact that you guys think outside the box. Because I remember when I was writing my thesis paper and it was about Afro-Caribbean culture and the diaspora when it came to counseling and different, I couldn't find shit.
We just talked
about
that.
I personally think that there's research done. It just never gets published.
That's what we were just talking about. I'm like, how do I get access to this information? I'm doing all these trainings on decolonizing your therapy practice, how to transition. And it is almost like trying to find a needle in the haystack. Really get into scholarly articles and things.
Because they have to be
design.
It is, exactly. Like, because they have to be approved. Like, so like, if I would get to a certain point where I'm not trying to publish in these white people's journals anymore. So
like, how do I get connected to, perhaps that is more like how do I get connected directly to the source then?
Or you have to look in books.
And I think we also need to, because I mean, right now we have the internet, we have TikTok, we have Instagram, and we have all these creators, content creators. And even they are still suffering from the fact that their stuff is like pushed to the bottom of like your feed or whatever. And
Not
so
on the algorithm,
understanding that we live in a world that wants to erase us and that is still pretty much the truth, but then also saying, how do we create an alternate space where you can find it? And it won't be legitimate. Like it won't be a high impact journal, but it will still be knowledge that is useful. Because when we do research, we're just like, what do I wish I found? Like, what do I wish was already in a paper? And how do I make it easier for the next person?
And the voice matters, because a lot of people, or a lot of the white people who did research on us, there's a certain tone to how they kind of say, like, write about us. Like, it's this thing of like, so pitiful, so this, so that, like, type of thing, versus this is a strong, persistent, resilient group of people who are able to assimilate into a culture that was not made from them, that does not accept them, does not welcome them, and still be able to like thrive and really like excel. That's very threatening, that I noticed to a lot of folks. Like,
it's also very voyeuristic. Right? Like them watching you, and it's just like, oh, how fascinating. Right. Like, oh, they're doing this. And I think, you know, when we do it, because I do quantitative research, and I'm just like, you cannot just talk about these numbers like this.
Right.
Like,
these are
you gotta
people.
bring it, please.
Right.
Because
I love reading
in the school.
So school, that one is even.
It is great. I think that you guys really bring up a great point around like accessibility, right? Like, I think that it is really important for even the language in the research to be accessible, and things that are published are written in a particular way. They want you to have specific language and specific structure that is not always accessible to a person that does not have a master's degree
by design.
Right. On purpose, right? And I've also found that like, even in people creating our spaces, they have often been riddled with like this elitist energy around like, if you don't have this particular title, or if you don't have this particular thing going on, or you don't look this certain way, or engage in like respectability politics, then your information is not valid.
And that's part of the gatekeeping. Then. Having to sound a particular way, write a particular way, because unfortunately, white people are the majority. Like, and so oftentimes here in the United States of America, but they are in the US of A, they are the majority, and they are also the majority when it comes to the places at which that we're trying to submit this information. And so they often are disconnected from how we are trying to tell the story and report things. And then it doesn't like fit in the mind. It's like there's cognitive dissonance or confusion. And because they don't get it, then somehow it's not legitimate. And that's where the hard piece comes, because even when we do create spaces where it's just for us, why can't I get in? Why were you guys leaving me out? Like, it's always this thing, this like entitlement to be in something that has nothing to do with you.
So I'm hearing about the struggle, but we all chose to go through it in some way. Right. So let's be honest. Do you all feel like graduate school or post bachelor's is worth it?
I think it's necessary, right? Sadly, we live in a world where, you know, you were talking about getting the title just to be respected. Like, we live in a world where you need to, right? Like, I live in a world where my neighbor will teach me about the variety of grass that I'm growing. And I want to say, you know, I have a PhD, right? Right. We live in a world where you need it. But I think you all bring up some really great points about, I think, if I had gone to therapy from year one, my experience would have been different. And so for anyone thinking about it, like, that's what I would say. Like, don't lose yourself in the process. But unfortunately, we live in a world where you need it. You cannot just have a bachelor's. Unfortunately, like, you know, because I was thinking the other day, like, what life do I wish my daughter had? I wish she didn't have to be good at anything she does. Like, I wish she could just be average, and that's okay. But that's not where we are. And so I think it was necessary. I think it was worth it. But I wish it could have been gentler, like softer.
I agree with that. And I think that when you get to like the master's and PhD level, like especially when you're thinking about doing research, I do think it is necessary to have people like you all that care and consider how our stories are written, what type of research is being had. And I think that it's difficult to do that without the title.
Yeah.
Right? And so although the system is fucked up, it's like we have to infiltrate from somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I feel like the more education you get, the more like your discipline is exposed. So like I went to grad school. Well, I went to go get my PhD because I was a teacher, and I was like, there's something wrong with all these programs that all my little Black students are being treated like they're in jail. And I was like, they're always spending time in ISS. And I'm like, something is going on. And then like in the PhD program, like, yeah, I know they have all these assessments and exams or whatever, but I'm like, literally, there's not one brown person brown, not even Black person that we learn about that has contributed to any of these like educational testing theories or anything. Like they're scared to even acknowledge like color or really think about it critically. So it was helpful for me like to frame my thinking a little bit, but it was stressful. But I mean, I like learning. I'm clearly a specific type that goes to get your PhD. So if you like a little bit of torture, if you're going there, you're not going there because it's fun and easy. So
do you feel like you guys are using your PhD the way that you want to use it, or you're not using it at all, what you obtain your degree in?
I would say that there are aspects of my professional life that I do use my PhD a lot. Like we do research, and we go present on Black people, Black students, Black people in the field. My job currently, I think some of my PhD is helpful, but I don't necessarily think I needed a PhD for it. But, knowing about evaluation is helpful for the role that I do.
Yeah, and I absolutely do. And a lot of it is credit to Brianna, because she wouldn't let me cop out. And I told you, it was just like, let me just do a numbers thing. I'll be done in a semester. And she's just like, no, you have to like what you produce. And so because of what I did for my dissertation, which focused on race and ethnicity, I was able or drawn to a job where that is important. And so I do use the PhD, like what I gained in the PhD I use, but it's because what I gained in the PhD is what I want to use. And
so then what advice do you have for people who are struggling after they get that PhD and or either not using it or wondering like, why did I even waste my time?
I mean, that's a personal, like, I don't know that we could do that. Like, it's a personal thing of what were you running from that what'd you get need to like,
because I think that's what it is, right? Because sometimes people end up getting a PhD just to call yourself a doctor, or just because family kind of pushed you to. That's what you're supposed to.
Which is an intense experience for not like a
because I'll be honest with you, I have a distant cousin who went and became a medical doctor and hates it.
And that's a lot of damn school.
It's a lot of schooling, but that's the status. That's the status that her parents wanted to say. Like, my daughter is a doctor and she hates her job. What she really wanted to do, which is completely different, is own like a greenhouse. She's interested in plants and creating like different. But for her to even do that, her mom is like, no, like so, like and things like that. You know what? So now it's like, you know, she's at a point where, you know, her and I have conversation about, well, why don't you follow your own voice? You're an adult now. But then there's this responsibility around like, what do I look like? I have, you know, I have this life and this, you know.
But I'm also trying to uphold the decision that I made at this point.
Right.
Because I think that's a lot of it too, is that like, what to almost give up on all that hard work, all that abuse, all of those things feels like
Why
It
why
feels
did
like
I do that
It
shit?
feels like
But what's
emptying,
the
I think.
cost is my question. And I don't know. if I can
Financial
answer-
or mental? Both.
What's the
Well,
price-
that's the thing. I think because her parents paid for it. So there's like this.
She's like a slave
Obligation?
to that shit.
Yeah, this like.
But what
this
did you want your child to be happy? Like, I just
Yeah.
don't know. Like,
not not all parents.
I guess you're right.
But I would say, and I wish to a younger self, and as someone who sort of stepped outside of the mold or what was expected, I wish more young people would just say no.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a doctor. Like,
Yeah.
How did
It's
you
not
do
what
it though? Because the people, like, it's great to say.
Right.
Because I also was one of the people who stepped outside, but that came with a lot of
Judgment.
and sometimes it felt like ostracization.
Yeah.
Ostracization.
Thank you.
Ostracization.
Yeah, right.
Right.
It came with that stuff too, and some people, because it seems like you're a very strong person, like myself, right? Some people don't have that strength or that thick of a skin to be able to do that. There's a certain level of like grooming, if you will, to having like to be a particular way. Like, so what do you think?
I don't want to lie. It's hard. It's painful to stand in your truth and just say, I don't want to do it. Right. And so I don't want to make it seem like, oh, it's easy. Just, you know, stick up for yourself. However, what is the alternative? Now I'm 35 and I'm a doctor and I hate it. Like I wake up every day and I hate my life. Right. And so I had to think about, do I want them to hate me or do I want me to hate me? Right. And for me right now, it's like, if I have to choose between disappointing you and disappointing me, I'll disappoint you every day.
Yeah.
Because, and
You know,
so
that's how I roll. That's how I roll. Girl.
yeah, it's not easy. I don't want to lie and say it's easy. However, I also don't know that I would have wanted to go to medical school or go through a PhD and then be resentful. And I wouldn't want to say I can't give up now because I've done it. It's just like, of course you can start over. Like, you're not a mountain.
I'm not that person.
You know?
If it don't work out.
And I think that's also because I'm an immigrant, right? Like to be able to say, you know, let's start again. Let's go somewhere else, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, like I think that's a really sad situation that you.
But a lot of people I think do face it. Like they.
And you can also think creatively. Like I think that a lot of times you get this PhD or you get a medical doctor and you think that I have to work in academia or I have to go work in the hospital. Like let's reframe like what can we do with these careers, because
Smart. That's a good.
I'm sure like with the medical degree, like I mean farming, I see like there's some crossing medicine and herbs and stuff. Like how can we intertwine like the two things that you're interested in? And even like we like to do creative things like our podcast and stuff with the PhD. And although it's like we don't necessarily need a PhD, it's really informed by our experience. Like, and stuff like that. So I just think thinking outside of the box is also helpful, but I know that can be challenging because people really expect you to follow a certain path. But forget that.
One of the University of Instagram says, you know,
That's how you call it, the University of Instagram.
that's where we get a lot.
That's exactly where it is. That's exactly where it is.
Oh, I just forgot it. I'm so sorry.
It'll come back to you.
I kind of thought about what you had said in terms of like, is a postdoctorate worth it? Like, is it something that people should pursue? Honestly, in the current climate, in the place that we are, being educated is your best weapon.
It really is.
Like, in terms, talk about being the Trojan horse. Like, you got to get in and low key mingle in order to then
Be seen.
break it up, destroy it. And because we live in a time of a lot of pseudo intellectuals.
Oh yeah.
A lot of
Especially with
people
TikTok.
who are
Artificial.
right. And people, and a lot of people, and those people have a large following who are also watching these things and taking it in. But this is part of the reason why we decided to start the podcast to begin with, because there's a lot of misinformation and misdirection and a lot of things around what mental health is.
Yeah.
And so you kind of need to get into the weeds, into the mud of things in order for you to kind of ascend out of that and lead and help your fellow people. Yeah. Like, so I think it's worth it, but you also want to kind of figure out what's your why. Yeah. What is the goal? What is the intention for yourself? Yeah. And even when you said the disappoint, I literally, TikTok, just noticed this like reel that was saying something along the lines of like, I want to teach my child to disappoint people more, because think about it. When you break up the word disappoint, you are literally taking that person and bringing them down. You're not appointing them as somebody who's directing your life. So when you disappoint someone, you're keeping them, you're bringing them down and appointing yourself and the things that you want. People don't think about it like that. And I felt that so freeing and so interesting because I was never taught or even rewarded for disappointment. It was always that other people, my family, knew better and knew what it was, even though there were certain experiences that I had that they would never have. They'd never be able to touch. So I'm giving the compass, the map, the direction to somebody else who's not living in my shoes, the cells, the skin, all the different things that are going on. And it is hard, and it definitely takes a lot of unlearning. As an immigrant, yes, you learn to start over, but there's also a sense of urgency to, like, once you start over, this is it. I have to make it work. I have to. At least that's how it showed up for me. Like when my parents came here, and there's this thing of like, you need to succeed in order to shift the narrative of like maybe not being able to make it or not being able to show a particular way. I mean, I feel that. And I don't know to what degree my parents will say that they feel that as well too.
I think something that's not talked about, and I've been a militant to embrace it, is that you could also be a self-educator.
So
Have a paper, but a lot of stuff that I have learned, whether it was before I went to graduate school and undergraduate school, is because I taught myself. I got books. I learned it. I sought to understand it. And I think we do have to get credit to the fact that having a piece of paper obviously gets you in the door or status, and also having the strength to also hold your own and teach yourself. And that does add up and is impactful. So, do we come to a place where, because if you think about it, our parents didn't have our ancestors, didn't have the opportunity to go in the door and get that paper. They created paper. They created the research. The research that we talk about now is stuff that they created. We have a lot of Black creators that didn't have a book on how to create it. They actually invented
like indigenous
and
knowledge and things of that.
Created.
Knowledge.
So I don't know if it's my grandfather, but my grandfather always told me is that, having a book give you knowledge. He never was a huge thing about going to school. My grandfather didn't go to school, but he was the most smartest man and can tell you anywhere from religion to medical to whatever, as if you would think. He taught himself how to write. He taught himself how to do these things. So,
which is true, right? Like, definitely and that is what higher education was supposed to be, right? Like, you were supposed to be curious about something and go learn more about the thing you are curious for at your pace, right? Like, so this thing of you should have a PhD within 5 years, there was no structured curriculum. Like, you just went there and you just read.
And you got it.
Like I read whatever, right? Yeah. But let's also be honest, like, we are Black people in America.
And that paper is needed.
You need it.
I agree. That would be my point, right? Like, I think that there is this just dialectical tension, especially because many of the models that we work within in the mental health system are straight up racist. Like,
they are.
So we have to, So we have to do a lot of like, okay, I'm reading this information, but how can I make this apply to the people that I'm working with, and so on and so forth, which is a skill that you have to you don't learn that in grad school. That's something that you have to care about yourself and want to do yourself. So I do think that there is a bit of both and there. And the most important thing is the willingness to learn. If you don't necessarily have to have a PhD or a master's or a bachelor's to want to learn or to be educated or to be connected to people that can get some shit done. But it is about willingness to learn. And I think a big part of my graduate school experience is it taught me to learn. It taught me to be curious, to question things, to advocate. So I don't know that without those experiences, would I have a rich thoughts as I do now.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I'm going to shift the questions a little bit.
Yeah.
Because how sometimes people is like, oh, you guys have PhDs. And do you find that a change in your relationships, romantic relationships, family relationships, now that you guys are doctors now?
I'm not a doctor that is pressed to be called doctor everywhere I go. I like to be Brianna most of the time because I don't like to feed into the power dynamics a lot myself. The only person I make call me doctor is my husband when we go places. So. On the invitation, it's like doctor and mister because I just want to flex on top of him. But he ignores me like most of the time, so it hasn't caused any differences. My brother also got his PhD before me, and he's my younger brother. Yeah. But I like to remind him I have more degrees because I have a master's and he doesn't. But no, not really.
Okay, so none of your relationships
no.
like change.
I don't think it has changed how people see me. I do flex on white people for sure. Like, and I think also just being a Black woman in the medical health industry in America, I will flex at the doctor's office to just be like, you are not going to talk down at me.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And do you notice there's a different response now?
Of course.
It's embarrassing, right? For someone to say it's at doctor, actually, right? And then it's like, it does change the way they look at you, which is sad, but it also is just the reality of where we are. I work in a lab, and so I have undergraduate students, and I think it's important to them to say doctor. It's important to my boss, because I'm a postdoc, for her to say, I have, this is the postdoc doctor,
Yeah.
And I think she does it because she knows that it changes the space in the room, But I don't think in my
what about personal romantic relationships?
In my personal relationship,
I feel like does it become intimidating? Because I have some friends who become doctors, and especially my friends who are single or my friends who are they're not married but in relationships, they do notice like a shift in like intimidation. Like, I think Brianna said her husband is like, well, I don't care.
You feel like you're intimidating regardless.
Right. I think I'm intimidating regardless. So I think at this point it's just like, whatever, let's just add all
Yeah.
I would perhaps say that maybe that is just like a common factor with Black women in general. Like to be Black, a woman, educated, perhaps like having a secondary degree.
Intelligent.
Maybe kind of creates a different like pool of people that you might be connected to.
I think also men don't handle intelligent women well.
Right.
I think it's a wonderful fantasy. Like, I want an intelligent woman so she can help me build. But the reality of it is not convenient. And so
not convenient. Well said.
Right. I agree with that.
If someone is intelligent, they're intelligent all the time. And so even if you open the door in a stupid way, it's just like, the dog's going to go out. Or, like it's all the time, right?
Yeah.
And so I think I learned early to just know that
it is what it is.
At some point, like, I'm not intimidating, you're intimidated. And that's a you thing, right?
I love that.
No, I've always said that.
Yeah.
Because I also want to put the part of like, in a patriarchy where men and women do this thing where they believe that the man is the head in terms of that directs and moves. Intellectual, intelligent women who have degrees, they infiltrate that. They what's so-called obstruct that, because if you know more than me, I can't just blindly just say that and put you down and do all this other stuff. And I think that's what I have noticed, because if a woman is smart, outspoken, then it's an affront to my ego. It's an affront to, my masculinity and all of these other things. Like, it is this weird, like, oh, now you're talking down to me? Why? Because I told you there's a particular way to do something a bit more efficiently?
To take it to the extreme, like, this is why domestic violence is as rife. And I remember, when I was getting a divorce, right? Like, my ex-husband didn't have a degree, and, I got a master's, and I was going to do a PhD, and my aunt is just like, don't you think you can make it work? And I'm like, he's going to kill me. Yeah. Like, it already is hard enough to have a conversation just because I talk a certain way, or I act like I know everything. And I'm just like, with a PhD, like,
like I definitely know everything now. So
it just is like this thing, this like envy that like circles and circles and then turns into anger and rage. And now literally you say something, a word that they don't even know. Mind you, I didn't know you didn't know that word. Now all of a sudden, oh, you think you're better? It's like, whoa, like
Whoa,
where did that come from? Just because I have a plethora of ways to express myself, now all of a sudden that's intimidating to you.
That is so, like, we could have a whole show on that.
No, literally.
Sure can.
literally.
Because
The word intimidation alone.
Right.
So
Go ahead. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, like, I've had to, like, break down a conversation just to say, wait, did I say that or did you hear? Like, is it what you heard or is it what I said? Because
That's
I've
my
had,
favorite thing to say.
I've
People
had a
don't like
guy
that.
say to me, you never take my opinion. You never consider my opinion. And I'm like, okay, here's this time that I considered your opinion. Here's this time here's this time. Like, what do you mean never? Like, this is a feeling because it's just, you have decided that I am the doctor. You have decided that I am older or I think I'm better. And
that's it.
that's what you hear.
Yeah, that can be tough. Okay, so kind of wrapping up our conversation, what are your thoughts about how we can maybe offer some advice to people who are maybe thinking about continuing their education? Like, where would they start?
What Jay said at the beginning is the most important. Like, go to therapy from day one.
Yeah.
Like, don't play with yourself. Just like,
Really figure out what
like,
it is. That
start
you
with therapy.
Yeah.
I think is a big one. I think, again, it's this balance of like, should I not? Like, you have to, but sometimes maybe you don't really want to. Knowing yourself, again.
Yes.
Is what I'm taking from this conversation.
I agree. Definitely knowing yourself. I think that going to therapy can also help you to ground a bit more to your values.
Yeah.
When things that are happening in that grad school experience are just outside of your control. Like the stuff that is just going to show up. Discrimination, blah, blah, blah. Like it's going to show up, and being grounded to your values kind of helps you to deal with that in a way, like tolerate it in some ways, but also advocate for yourself when you need to.
Yeah.
And also,
I think,
go ahead.
I was going to say, I think like planning is kind of helpful because sometimes you get caught up with just being accepted into school and starting, and then you get there and you're like, oh, well, this is great. Now, what am I really going to do? So that can be another obstacle for some people. I think honestly, therapy should start before you even go to school. Like, cause I think that you need to be really sure who you are and like what you stand for before you step foot in the classroom. Like, it was hard for me. It was hard for my so, and we both have very strong personalities. So imagine somebody who is not as sure or doesn't have a background. Like, we were both educators. We had a background in like, what is this supposed to look like? What is it not looking like? So coming in with some knowledge, is helpful. Yeah, and just love yourself. Sometimes you just have to be nice to you. Like, everything is not going to get done.
I have one final question.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say another one that you said was community.
Yeah.
Like, that community.
We say that every episode.
Because being alone, I mean, even if we go back to the caveman days, like being alone increases the likelihood of you dying and being picked on by certain things. So having other people that kind of like almost like quilt, so you guys can really uphold each other, or at least just be the light in the dark at times, is like, I think is so beneficial and not talked enough.
And there's lots of online communities now. Like, I've seen lots of Black women getting together and like write that dissertation, sis. Like,
I've been seeing
groups
that,
where people really come together around this experience that is isolating and lonely.
Yeah.
But you can meet someone from another institution, right? Who's going through a similar thing, or who you can talk through things.
Yeah.
What are you, since post-program, what are you both intentional about with yourselves?
Stopping at 5.
For me, what are you, how do you do what is your self-care, or something that you, like, you weren't doing your program, but now that you out, like you said, to the weed of it, what's something that you've been like intentional about, like, this is me thing, this is my thing, this is how I'm taking care of me?
I mean, because grad school, you work round the clock.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes you start at 10. Like 10 p.m. is when it's like, it's quiet and I'm going to write, right? And so for me, it's just going, it's the end of the day.
That's
that.
I'll try again tomorrow.
Walking out.
Yeah. Which is hard, but like...
Ending your day.
Yeah, ending the day.
Yeah. What about you?
Self-care is a challenge for me. I'm addicted to money. So I have a tendency to have a lot of things on my plate. However, for my like main job, I do cut it off at 5, and I don't work on my main job on the weekends. So my like evening hours are for other endeavors.
But it's still things that you're interested in, right? That you still want to do, that's going to bring that additional income, but it's not related to your day-to-day.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good
Because my thing is, when you die within a week, They have an add-on.
That
That's
job
simple
was
basic.
like-
That's what I always say. Don't think for 1 minute that they got somebody else that can do your job now. That's not a problem.
All right.
All
We ready to close out?
transition, yeah, to the listener's letter.
All right, I'll read it. Hey, Couch Chronicles. I'm 32 and have been single my whole life. I deeply want a relationship. It's something that feels really important to me. But I've noticed many therapists I've worked with seem to brush it off. They tell me I'm still young or that I should just focus on being okay alone. Some even suggest it takes years, but without acknowledging how painful and lonely that feels. What's been hard is that most of these therapists have been married, and I often leave feeling dismissed or misunderstood. I'm not asking to be fixed or told to stop wanting connection. I just want this part of my life to be taken seriously in therapy, like any other issue that impacts my mental health. Is it too much to want a therapist who sees the desire for a relationship as valid, urgent, and worthy of attention without trying to talk me out of it?
So I would say that it's not too much to ask. One thing that I think that you have to meet the client where they're at. So I think for me in this listener's letter is around the fact that a couple of things actually is around how are you expressing yourself in your therapy session? Because I think it's good to let your therapist know how you're experiencing them. Mm-hmm. So if you're feeling dismissed, if you're feeling not heard, if you're feeling like I'm bringing this up and I'm telling you it matters to me and you are not being heard, then it's kind of like, hey, I feel like every session I'm coming up in the session, I'm saying like, I want to be in a relationship. I want to learn what I need to do to kind of like open myself up to dating. And I feel like you're dismissing that when you say comments like X, Y, and Z. So I think that if the therapist that you're seeing, if they are a sound and seasoned therapist, then they should be open to adjusting and on being open
or receiving
to
that
receiving
direction. Yeah. I think that's one of the misconceptions, right? Like a lot of my clients are fearful of like, or me as the clinical director, they may like other people's clients might make me reach out directly to me and say like, this happened in my session. I want to be therapist. And a lot of the conversation is like, how did you advocate for yourself? Can I help you with that? Can we facilitate some space for you to be able to share with your therapist what your experience is like and what you're looking for? But also having to realize that we work with a lot of people with interpersonal issues. So it is really difficult for people to say like, because they feel that power dynamic around like the therapist is the expert. If you as a therapist don't create the space where it's like, okay, I am an expert, but I'm not the expert on your life, then it can be difficult for clients to say like, I'm looking for a little bit more. But I have questions about this.
I wonder if the client doesn't need a dating coach.
Right.
Like
do you maybe need a different service?
So do you need a therapist or do you need a dating coach?
I really think
that's a good,
like I think it's this thing where we want one person to be our everything.
Right.
And it's like maybe you need someone whose expertise is about dating. It's about dating.
That's a good point.
And an entry point at where you are.
Yeah, especially if they're saying they had several therapists.
Those were the questions I had. Like, what kind of therapist are you seeing? Because every therapist doesn't provide every service. And a sound therapist is going to let you know like what their scope is. And so that it does seem like, especially with her wanting more like, I'm reading this like maybe the therapist is wanting her to process a little bit more about herself and understanding herself, which is really what therapy is. She seems to be looking a little bit more for like action steps and like, how can we move forward? That is more aligned with coaching.
And there's a whole profession, right? We're just like,
People do that.
I can find you a mate. Like I'm a matchmaker, right?
I think also something that she pointed out is that she just wants the acknowledgement that being like lonely is hard. And I think sometimes, especially like clinicians straight from school haven't necessarily been taught to validate and acknowledge like people's struggle without immediately jumping into here are the things that we can do to do this, that, and the third. And I like, cause it is lonely. It is and when we are in a silo and isolated by ourselves, things are exacerbated. Your pain is bigger. Your feeling of loss and like all of that stuff penetrates deeper, right? And I think that this person just wants to be told that like, it is hard to come home after a long day and there only be you. Yeah. It is hard that when you see other people, going out, especially on social media, you see it pushed a lot about like couples goals and, perfect marriage and this, that, and the third. And you should be like this by this age. Like that stuff is almost like death by 1,000 cuts for someone who is sensitive and unprepared for that experience.
Yeah.
But does it also sound like this person in their life, the therapist's voice is loud? Like,
it seems like they do center the therapist a lot. Like, they kind of know some
intimate details,
like all your therapists are married and things like that. So,
and maybe that is also a challenge, right?
Yeah.
For you to have this opinion that your therapist should, like, if they think it's too much, then it's too much, right?
Yeah.
A lot of their therapist is their problem solver.
Yeah. Yes.
But a lot of people take that to the point, Bree, is that I always tell clients, when you come into this space, we are doing work together. I don't have no answers for you. I'm not trying to fix you. I'm not trying to put your pieces together. That's all on you, whatever you need. But a lot of people do think that because you are the expert, you're supposed to help me fix this, solve this,
take action,
do this. And I think to your point in this situation, it does seem like, one, she's not communicating. It doesn't sound like you're communicating what your needs are. And two, there's a high expectation on the therapist to fix it, to help you.
Which is why it's hurting, right? Like it hurts a lot. It sounds like it hurts when the therapist doesn't.
Right. Yeah. Right. But then you continue to move from therapist to therapist.
Thinking
right. And I honestly think it's a deeper thing than just giving the voice to the therapist. This sounds like somebody who's used to considering, if not taking other people's voice as the primary one. Because there is a lot of people who first of all, their parents weren't really available to them.
Right.
So they're seeking someone to soothe and to adhere to a wound. Show me, because I don't trust myself. Because it also gives that there's a lack of trust
and so
in her feeling like she can successfully do this thing, get a relationship.
And maybe
by herself.
that is what her and the therapist need to work on. Maybe that's how she needs to approach it this time, is around the fact that there's a lack of self-trust or confidence that I have going into the dating scene and being in a relationship, whatever that insecurity is. Maybe it's shifting shifting your focus into that, into these are my weaknesses when I meet people, when I'm in relationships, when and this is where I need the area of growth and guidance in. And maybe to the point that you're making, maybe the therapist is trying to get her connected to a deeper sense of herself that she's not willing to do. Because I do feel it could be generational, because I do feel like when I do get a different breed of this current generation who are in their 20s and 18, there's a thing of like, I'll deal with the trauma shit now, but now this is what I need. Like I need to do that later.
That's what I'm saying.
And
the matchmaker,
right?
This is perfect.
So they get into that hyper focus of wanting to, I don't have time to deal with that. I need to.
They want the quick fix, but I think that's what.
No, I was just gonna say, but going to the matchmaker is not going to heal the problem on the inside.
Right.
So it's like
she doesn't want to heal.
But you're not going to be in a relationship if you don't heal. So you
could
go on a date, but are they going to stay with you?
Right. Y'all going to be able to sustain the relationship.
That'd be a toxic bond for sure.
But it sounds like what she's saying is, I want it. Like, I hear what you're saying, but I just want it.
You want a different service. That's what it is. Like, you want a different service other than therapy.
Yeah. So we're encouraging you to sit with yourself and what it is that you need.
No, don't do
exactly.
No, literally, I was going to say, not just saying verbatim what her therapist said, sit with yourself.
No, but sit with herself in terms of if she cannot get it from this therapist, then stop seeking, you know, if you already know that these therapists are married, maybe like saying, hey, no, whatever it is that you need. So if it is the dating coach, do that. If it, you know, right on, if it is going through a therapist that is single that you feel like can relate, then seek that.
I do think that there is definitely responsibility on the therapist as well to also acknowledge when they maybe are not meeting the needs of the client.
And when you
sometimes
advice
that
giving,
can be hard, right? It can be hard for people to admit, like, yeah, this is out of my lane.
Yeah. And don't do advice giving. I think that's major.
I have a question.
Go for it.
Because I have a friend who thinks a therapist's job is to validate whatever you are saying or going through or your perspective. And so, and I don't know that that's what therapy is, but not that I'm an expert on what therapy should be. But I'm just like, is
that helpful?
You all, without meeting this person, can say you need deeper work on yourself. Just by your letter alone, you need to introspect more, which is what her therapists have been saying.
Yeah.
And I wonder if a therapist, I think that is what you're supposed to say. Like, I see that you're struggling with dating, but beneath it is this lack of self-worth or feeling like you are deserving and this and this and this. And so I don't know that a therapist's job is necessarily, I mean, to acknowledge, yes, that it hurts you.
It's both,
Yeah. I would say that like validation is a really big part of the therapeutic relationship.
Yeah.
But it also depends on what kind of therapy you do. The type of therapy that we do, DBT therapy, is a little bit more like direct and there is more challenging, right? So that might look like I'm validating your experience or really trying to help you sort through validating what is valid. What is valid. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. Like if you are coming with one side of the story, I'm going to say that I understand and hear what your perspective is. And there's a piece that's missing. I don't know the other side, but I can work with you as my client on what you have control over. But
and a lot of times we're not,
want to just like talk shit. Like,
they're not
this person did this to me. These people did this to me. I'm like, we're on the fourth person now. And I'm not their therapist. I'm your therapist. So I try to always bring the person back to what they have control over and provide that other perspective. Like, this is your narrative, but what about if it's something different? What if it is something that's outside of yourself? What's missing here? And I think that is an important part of therapy. And many people aren't always prepared for that if they haven't been to therapy before.
Exactly.
I don't really know your friend, but I also would wonder, are they actually looking for validation or are they looking for reassurance? Because I think a lot of people come into therapy wanting you to reassure a doubt that they are the problem.
Yeah.
Or like they might actually have more control and agency over something.
Just making dumbass decisions.
Because I have worked with a client who wanted to date, but also had very deep-seated challenges around saying the things that they wanted within their family, feeling overwhelmed and stressed, but also being very centered in that having a relationship was going to somehow make them feel a bit more whole.
Yeah.
I made space and I would encourage them to, go out on dates and do certain things. And then we would come back and talk about the things that would show up for them in those dates. And it seemed to be around the same thing. You're looking for a particular thing, not making space for the person who's in front of you. And that takes sometimes a bit of like exposure and a type of like actually being in it.
Yeah.
Right. To do that. But I do think people want to come in and for the therapist to say, you know what, it's not you.
Yeah. You're so great. You're
really this, like all this other, and it is hard when a therapist does not give you that because now it forces me to look at a mirror and I don't really like what I see there.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like us as behavior.
But we are also behavioral therapists too.
We are. Because that's where it starts from, right? You got to understand, like, how are you showing up? How are you behaving? I can't focus on anybody else and how they show up will change that. But a lot of clients do seek that talk therapy space to validate their experience. I could do that and also challenge you to look at the other side of the refrigerator and how you're showing up. And I think that's what gets challenging.
Thank you for asking that.
All right, Steph, you want to close us out?
Well, it has been a pleasure, Dr. Bree, Dr.
Mot.
Mot. Sorry, because I was about to say Motty and I knew that was wrong. So
It's not, but hey.
oh, hey, look at that. We were really blessed to have you guys here. I felt like the conversation was very rich and hopefully we'd be able to collaborate more. Obviously, my lovely co-host here. We are Couch Chronicles, Therapists After Dark. Hit us up on couchchroniclestad@gmail.com if you want to give any listener letter, confessionals, or you just want to kiki with us.
Yeah. And where can they find you guys?
all?
We are at the Color of Success podcast at gmail.com. We are on Twitter. Oh, we are on Spotify. Spotify, the Color of Success, the Black Academic Experience. We are on Instagram.
And Apple Podcast. And on Instagram, we are _ the Color of Success podcast.
Yes, check them out if you need some more guidance on, you know, how to get it started with your higher education.
And they have some rich conversation.
Yeah.
You guys have some rich conversation. I was like catching up, listening about you guys are coming. I'm like, wait, Tyler, I gotta go back and like everything. I'm like, oh, this is good. This is rich. So definitely, it's a space not just for people of color, but people who are just going through the struggle. Yeah. And that's what I got from Color of Success. It's like if you're in academia, you need a shared lived space. Like, definitely, this is a supportive podcast.
So check them out. Check us out. Like, subscribe, comment, all those good stuff. And we are Couch Chronicles.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
All right.